Hello again. Before we start the main demo, I'd like to cover a couple logistics. So first, since this is set up as a webinar, we've automatically muted your mic and turned off your webcam, so you don't need to worry about that. In addition, during the webinar, we're going to launch two different polls. They're anonymous, and we'll share the results after we collect the answers. I'll go ahead and launch that first poll now. We're just curious what brought you to the rules engine today. So you should see that pop up on your screen, and we'll share the results once we've collected the answers. So thirdly, this webinar is going to be recorded, and we'll send an emailed recording to all the registrants. You'll also see it on our website and our social media feeds. And lastly, if you have any questions at any time during the webinar, there should be a Q&A button on your Zoom client, and that works on mobile and desktop versions of Zoom. And so feel free to ask questions anytime, and we will get to them at the end of the webinar. All right, well, with those logistics out of the way, I am really excited to introduce Darren Lay, Product Manager at DataVisor. Darren has almost a decade of experience in fraud detection and payments across multiple verticals, including fintech, e-commerce, and gaming. And he's worked in geographies from Asia to Europe and the US. And prior to joining DataVisor, Darren was recently a payments product manager at Garena, a gaming and e-commerce platform that recently IPO'd. So we're super excited to have you here, Darren, and please take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eric. All right, thanks, Eric, for the introduction. Nice to talk to everyone today as well. Before we get started, I want to share with you the product philosophy at DataVisor. I think it's important to emphasize this because unlike many others in the market, DataVisor CAI is an extension of human quality, not something to replace human. This is a governing theme of everything we build and we offer to clients. We want to make the client's team do the jobs better. And today's advanced rule engine is, of course, not an exception as well. Let me quickly show you where the rule engines land in our products portfolio. We offer fraud detection as a service, and we call that DVector. But what differentiates DataVisor with other solutions is we also provide end-to-end fraud management and model development platform. We have different products, and each will fit the different needs. Rule engine is one of them. I also want to highlight this because our products not only can operate as an individual application, but also can amplify the impacts if the clients choose to enable multiple products. In today's demo, for example, I will show you how the rules engine can work with a feature platform. The way you can think about this is like AWS. You can buy its cloud storage, but you also can buy its computing powers as well. And if you choose to do so, they will work together seamlessly. Let's talk about advanced rule engine. In a nutshell, we combine the human domain knowledge with machine intelligence through manual and automated rules engine. As you may know, our company DataVisor is first and foremost known for our unsupervised machine learning models. In this presentation, I call it UML in a short form. And as a result, we want to incorporate the artificial intelligence into the new rule engine while maintaining the transparency that the rule engines offer. That was the core of DataVisor Advanced Rule Engine. As we zoom out, we will see how this engine takes advantage of intensive experience that DataVisor have. We have been protected more than 1 billion users, analyzed more than 800 billion events, and we achieved that by having the quality data from enterprise customers, as well as ever-extending technology stacks of the company. All right, for today's demo, let's do something interesting. So I will play the role of a fraud analyst. His name is Darren. It seems like Darren is everyone with names Darren is very passionate about anti-fraud. Darren is working at a leading e-commerce company, and he's concerned about a recent fraudulent transaction. Darren today wants to discover the fraud patterns, and then he will create and test the new rules. He also wants to manage overall performance better as well. And he's gonna do all this with the help of the advanced rule engine. Okay, we could go one by one as these features, and I'm gonna show you how these features will help Darren to do his job. Let's start with one of the functionality that differentiate our products, the automated rule engine. As I mentioned, is combined the intelligence of DataVisor UML model with the simplicity of traditional rule engine. The reason why is there are companies still love rule engine because it's easy to understand, easy to explain. It's simple, and that's why I think we want to combine that simplicity with the intelligence of the machine. This is extremely important because if we think about the fraud analyst, one of the tasks that consume a lot of time is actually to discover the fraud pattern. And we ask ourselves, what can we do to have the fraud analyst to do this job better? What you see on the screen here right now is the examples of auto rules that DataVisor generates for our client. In production, this list will be refreshed every day based on the latest data. Let's take a look at one of the rules. Okay, go. I'm going to show you the logic of this rule. This is the example of the rules that we generate every day, and the fraud analyst will take a look at those rules and get some inspiration. For example, Darren can see that the suggested rule is about user environment feature. The data user environment contain pro, or the user has a message about I will give you a best offer. Then this is suspicious transaction, and potentially that will detect more than 200 users. So imagine that you are the fraud analyst, and every day you need to think about what rules to create. This saves you tons of time. Either you need to dig into the data, or you just look at the list that we provide every day. All right, now that we have some idea about what rules we should create based on the inspiration Darren has from automated rules, let's talk about manual rules, which is the core of any, I would say, rules engine. Our manual rules engine can help you create highly complex, yet fully customized rule. And I show you what I mean by that shortly. As promised, later on, I also show you how rule engine works with other DataVisor products, for example, feature platform. Let's come back to our environment. Before we get started, let me just quickly go through what you see here. Everything you see on the screen in the rules engine is self-explainable. Think about iPhone. You should be able to know what to do with it by just looking at the button. So I won't spend too much time on this. I just want to quickly show you how you can customize this view. The clients can go to customize, add a new column, or just take it away as they want to. You also can extend your view accordingly, and all this setting will be saved per account basis. So the next time you log in, you will see what the rule engine look exactly like what you want. All right, let's hit the button. Let's create a new rules. As you see, we provide a lot of features. On the productions, we actually provide in average about 200 features for our clients. So a lot of choices for our clients analysts. All right, let's come back to Darren again. So Darren, as a fraud analyst, need to create a rules, and by just looking at the page, he know that the first thing he needs to do is define the features, define the conditions. And then he will think about if the conditions are met, which means the rules is triggered, what action we should take. Next, he will think about adding additional details like rule name tags, just to manage the rule better later on. Let's start with the condition. So I just mentioned about how flexible and yet you can create a very complex rule, because you can add as many conditions as you want. You also can add blocks of conditions. That by doing that, you will increase the complexity of the rule. Okay, let's start with something everyone know. Let's see, income. After you select the features, the operators will show up dynamically. I show you an example. Let's say I want to think about the mobile OS. Is that we have a different set of operators as well. We have very complex and even advanced operators like normalize, which means we will look at the string and look at the special characters and normalize it, which is a very common tactic that the fraudster use. So let's say Darren look at mobile OS and he will look for Android device. Okay, just a simple rule. And then he can special action. He can label it and then add the label data. For example, this is an Android device. Label data is what, if the rules triggers, DataVisor will send that labels to the clients so that you will have that label data in your backend. Okay, then we can give a names, Android users suspicious. Hey, even though in reality, just by using Android does not make someone suspicious, but let's just name it in that way. And then give it a score. The scores can be something that you can internalize in your client system as well. All right, so that's it. And we hit create. Let's say create them. Oh, here we go. That's it. So this is the rule which is create. As you can see, you can just delete this rule as you want. Another things I want to highlight here is the status. I will touch on the status quickly later on as well, but just to show you what it means by status. Draft means we create the rules, but the rules is not running yet. Trials is extremely useful when you create a rules, but you want to see how the rule performs. So the rules are created running, but there's no action taken. So there's no user affected. Published as a name, this means the rule is running and also taken on action on the users. Okay. One more thing before we move on, I want to show you how you can create a new features. So again, Darren thinking about, well, he may want different features. How can he get a new features? Right. So Darren can do this by using a rule engine, integration with the feature platform. What you see here is a separate product. It's called feature platforms. As I mentioned earlier, it's integrated with rule engine. And in the feature platform, you can create any features that you want. We actually provide more than 200 operators. Let's say you want to count the number of products create per user ID. User ID within the last 7 days. Oh, that's too much. Here we go. Okay, 9 days. And we do product user ID. Corporate user ID. Give it carries first party fraud. All right, looks good. Let's create it. Product user ID. This is a new feature. We try to publish it. It would take about a minute or so to have this feature available in rule engine. Let's check if the rules is available. Here you go, it's available. So we just created features within few seconds. And why is this important is because for the fraud analyst, if Darren is a fraud analyst, even know how to code, that will take a spring, that means a weeks or so to write a script, review the script, and then deploy it to environment. If Darren doesn't know how to code, which is a common case for a fraud analyst, he will need to go through the product team and then escalate to engineer and wait for engineer to implement, all of which will take weeks or months. By that time, the features deployed is no longer relevant for the job. So this is extremely important to have the features created just within minutes or even seconds. All right, let's come back to our presentation. We have quite a number of functionality to cover. The next thing I want to show you is the backtest and forward testing. Backtest is the name mentions, suggests we will test again this historic data. And why we want to do that is because we want to validate the detection quality. Forward testing is in trial mode. As I show you just now, by putting a rules after you create it in trial mode, you will see how it's run, and you're not taking any actions. So you can observe if the behaviors of the rules is expected, at the same time protect innocent users from taking a wrong action as well. So let's come back to our demo environment. Oh, that's not the correct one. Here you go. So let's say I pick this message test, and I go to test rule. This is back test to test again the historic data. Let's say I would pick a date. Let's see, 1st of the month at midnight. Okay. We can test up to 10,000 records. This is extremely important and useful to test again a specific time, because if you know the events when it happened, you can test if your rules can detect that users. Okay. And let's wait for the test to run. Wow, it's pretty quick. Right. Wow, we had to detect more than 3,000 users in this test. That's quite significant. It seemed like very useful rule. I would definitely look into this after this presentation. Anyway, let's come back to the other one that I mentioned, which is the trial. The trial mode you can see, as you can see here, which means that the rule is running, but no action taken. Let's see how this performs. We'll go to the performance tab, and we see that over the month, this rule seems to perform very well. But then, in last month, October, it performed pretty well, but it's kind of stagnant since then. So that means that we can look at the rules, update some logic to see is it still relevant, or maybe because the fraudster have changed their behavior accordingly to the rule. So that's extremely useful. Okay, that's back test and forward test. Another concept I want to quickly cover is the rule set. The challenge we try to solve here is as a fraud analyst, Darren has a lot of rules to organize. To address that concern, we can create a concept rule set. And so we come back to the environment again. Here we go. As you see, this is the rule set table. And you also can add the rule sets here in the column to see which rule will belong to which rule set. It's like a folder in your Windows or in your Mac OS. You can also create a rule set so easy by just go to rule set, pick the rules that you want to be included, and then give it a name, rule set test. and create a rule set. Create temp here. That's right. All right. Okay, we have a lot to cover, but as we're almost done, bear with me. We do two more things I want to highlight here is how we can increase the transparency and how we can measure the performance. I want to mention this because as a fraud analyst, we know the pains. When we see a rule performing well, we always wonder what's the logic behind that rules, who create that rule, and how can I copy that rules to my rules, right? And in the market, most of the rules engine will require you to have multiple clicks before you actually can see the logic. In our rule engine, you can see that right here by choosing the rules and go to the rule detail, and you can see all the conditions explained right next to it. So that's how we show the transparency. You also can see performance, what I showed you earlier, to track the performance, the rules, or even rule sets over a period of time. With that, I want to conclude the demo today. Within, I guess, 20 minutes, right, Eric? We accomplished a lot of things as a fraud analyst. Darren has discovered new patterns. He also created a test of new rules. He also see how he can manage the overall system performance. All of this can do within less than an hour, half an hour, would reduce significant time of a fraud analyst. Okay, that's it for today, I guess.
All right, thank you so much, Darren. So before we start the Q&A, I'm going to go ahead and share the results from our first poll. So you can see most of the people here came today to learn about just generally about fraud detection and AI. And then I'm going to launch our second poll, which is a question to help understand what you guys think would be the most valuable feature for your job that you saw today from the rules engine. So I'm going to launch that now. And then while people are responding to that, we can get into the Q&A. So let's see, we've got our first question. So how can I set up a 3 strikes type rule where a user is warned for a set number of times and then banned after another set number of times?
I see. Wow, that's interesting questions. I think that your questions can be generalized into how can I take different actions after a certain number of times that the rules trigger. So the common use case that we see at our clients is to create a rule against policy violation. For example, let's go to the demo again, and I can quickly show you how it can be done. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's say Darren want to create a rule saying if you have someone, you see your users often message other people for the contact information, you can create a message contain please give me contact, please give me contact. Okay, but you don't want to ban the user right away. You just want to send them to a review or label it, right? But if the user continue doing this after 3 times, is that a question, the 3 times 3 strike? We want to ban that user. So what you can do is first we create a rule saying that, all right, if the message contain, please give me contact, label it, say warning, and then just label, and then that information we send it to the backend. The trick here is create a count. So let's say this is count means message give me contact. What it does is we count numbers of these rules trigger. So if it triggers 3 times, it means that these users have been messaged order the same message 3 times. And if that happens, we should ban them. So first we create this rule, message me contact, okay? And create a rule. if you go back for the second time when you create message me, did I hit contact? Hold on 1 second. Okay, great. Let's do it again. I think I forgot to click on count. Okay. Message. Contain. Please. Okay. And the actions will be labeled. Let's say warning. Count. Message. Okay. And say message. Contact me rule. All right. Give it a score and give it a text. This is the name of your count. Refresh it. It should be okay now. Message.
Contact.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Eric. Here we go. So what it does is it now counting the numbers of features, numbers of times that this user message another person. And as we mentioned, if it's more than 3 times, we're gonna ban that users. That's it. That's how you can solve this problem. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that wraps up that question. So our next question is more about the automated rules. So this person wants to know, can you explain in more detail how DataVisor generates automated rules and what data are those rules based on?
I see. Let me quickly show everyone the automatic rules. At DataVisor, we don't believe in one solution fit all, and I think that's important to mention because we want to look at the data and they understand the problems that the client face. After that, we follow the 3-step process. First, we look at your company, the client data, and then understand the goal or the fraud type that they face. And second, we will run the UML, which is the unsupervised machine learning model on the data, and then return it accordingly until we get the best result. And then finally, we will simplify the process by generate those rules on daily basis and send it to client. And we continue the process of retuning to make sure that the model is always up to date and always solve the best the problems the client face in the best way.
Got it. Well, we are running a little over time, so that's all the time we have for questions today. I'm going to go ahead and end this poll and share the results. So it seems like automated rule creation and human readable UI were the features that people thought were most valuable today. And just to wrap things up, you can look forward to a recording of this demo, which we'll share next week. If you've registered for the webinar, you'll receive that by email. And if you haven't registered, you can find it on our website or our social feeds. So thank you all again for joining us today, and have a great morning or afternoon wherever you're coming from. All right, have a great one.
Thank you, everyone.